What's up, everybody? Welcome back to The Pod Has Spoken. Very, very exciting episode of Survivor, I have to say. Everyone hesitant about Mr. Beast participating and being there. Even Mr. Beast himself publicly was like, I do not want to go the route of that country singing superstar who all the fans shit on afterwards. And I don't think he did. I think he kept it nice and short and sweet and tight and ended up being exciting. We'll get into all of that. First, we're here with the always my rock, Ashleigh Smith, always here making us sound and look amazing, as well as adding valuable insight. Lots of fans who listen to the show say, Ashleigh doesn't talk enough, but when she does, we know it's going to be gold. We also have the Wolf of Quiet Pines, who is not as quiet as Ashleigh. Ashleigh, the Ashen Herald, is boisterous.
Yeah.
Riley,
what do they say about me? You could talk less. Yeah, he's all right.
No, they don't say that. They also want to hear from you more. They don't say they want to hear from me less, but they want to hear from both of you more, which means
want more of everything. That's
more
great.
of everything. We have a very exciting guest, someone who has been part of Survivor since Palau, third place, Ian Rosenberger. Ian, how are you?
I'm good. It's good to be here. You all have great nicknames. I wish I needed
Coach
nicknames.
gave them to us.
Yeah, I talked to Coach.
Oh, seriously?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was going to talk about how much I hated that Coach gave people nicknames this season.
Yeah. You don't like the nicknames?
I think I like yours, but I think the act of giving a nickname to somebody is so arrogant, but we can talk about that.
Well, the thing, though, also with nicknames is you can't give yourself your own nickname.
Sure.
It has to come naturally from bullies, is generally
right. That's right.
That's how it has started.
You have to hate it.
Yeah, it wasn't a rite of passage. I was called Disease at Boy Scout camp because I was barfing all the time. So that stuck with me for a couple years.
Wow.
I was called Stork because I'm gangly. And when I played basketball.
I was called Stork because I was also gangly. I might have gotten that at Boy Scout camp too.
Yeah. And those were the two nicknames that honestly stuck with me the longest: Disease and Stork.
I have to tell you, Disease is a rough one.
Yeah, I just pretended like it didn't matter to me and then hid all of my feelings under a sense of humor.
Yep.
No, yeah. That's how you ended up on reality TV, by the way, right there.
Exactly. So, Ian, I do want to get into this episode, and I promise you all listening we are, because it is a long TV episode. But I've met Ian before. He does not remember this. I've talked to him before, so I will tell him the story, and hopefully that jogs his memory. It was 2009. We were getting phone calls for Heroes versus Villains. They flew us all out to California. Ian was in that crew. We all took the tests. We were in the thing. And then we all went home, and they tried to keep us as separate as possible. But on our way home, I was at the airport. And as I was walking through the airport, I saw Sandra and Rupert sitting together, chit-chatting. I thought, I want to be a part of that. So I walk over and I sit down, and I'm chit-chatting with Sandra and Rupert. Early pre-gaming stuff, maybe a little bit, kind of like let's watch each other's backs no matter what happens. As we're chit-chatting, we see one Ian Rosenberger walking by, and Sandra's like,
probably going to be embarrassing for me.
Ian, come here. And Ian walks over, and he sits down, and there's four of us, and we didn't have a ton of time because our flights were all at different times in different parts of the airport, and we all just kind of gave each other the thumbs up, and that was the last all four of us ever talked. We never had a Zoom call. We never had a FaceTime. We never had anything like that after that. Do you remember that at all?
I do. Yeah, I remember actually that I saw Rupert at the airport, and he didn't remember me or know who I was. And I was like, okay, well, that's that.
But did you remind him of that moment?
No, but I remember now that you said that, I remember meeting you and Sandra and Rupert and sitting down and chatting. That's right. That was 2009. That was a long time ago, 15 years ago.
Yeah. Was that the first time you'd been invited back?
Yeah, I was invited back. There were 2 times before 50. And then also I 50. Had conversations with the crew on 50.
So let's talk about that real quick so that our listeners can get a little bit. So you were on Palau. Which season was that? Season 10?
Season 10. Yeah, so
season
5
10.
years in. Yeah, it's old school. I think it might be the dividing line between, I don't know. I could be totally wrong, but it felt like once Redemption Island happened the following season, things started to change.
Okay.
There's a lot of debate.
So
a lot of debate.
You got called for heroes versus villains, presumably a hero. Do you assume that you would have been a hero on that season?
Oh, that's a great question. I think I would have. I like to think I would have been.
I think you would have been.
Could see how it might go another way. But yes, I think I would have been.
Okay, so then what else did you get called for?
I got called for, it was one with pairs. What was the one with
Blood versus water?
Blood versus water.
Yes, yeah, blood
which
versus
is
water.
What that was the season I ended up winning. What other? And then you got called.
Yeah.
And then 50.
They floated. I would get a call from time to time about other seasons that, now I can't remember which one was which, but I got the call for 50. I don't know. I guess it would have been last year.
Okay.
And went through the process, and it seemingly went, this was the one. Every other time that I've been asked to participate was a time in my life that I was getting married for one of them, and then I was having a kid. My first daughter was born, and it just wasn't the right time. Life gets in the way, and in a good way. For me, Survivor's always been something that's been a privilege to have participated in. There's such a family and community around the show. And I love the fans. I love the people who love it so much. I think that it was just not the right time. And for 50, we had our second. My son Dash was already born, and he was just potty trained, and we were in a good spot. We bought a house not too long ago over COVID, and it was just like, okay, well, maybe this is the right time. If they ask, I'll tell you what's funny. My wife and I said, if they ask and the prize money is more than $1 million, I will go back. And so when it came and there was $1 million, I was like, okay, well, no big deal. But then on today's episode, I was like, oh my gosh, what an amazing twist. So It was really cool to see that they've upped the ante for sure.
So how long were you through casting? Because I know there's been a lot of discourse about that for season 50 specifically.
Yeah.
Did they make you believe you were going to be part of the season for sure? It was always a question up in the air. We'll let you know. Like, what was the...
I was there, I think, at the end. And then I got an email from Jeff, actually. Saying, hey, it didn't fall the way that, that we thought that it would, and we would have loved to have you back. And I think, and it was really nice. I wrote him a nice note back, and it was good to hear from him. And I remember our moms got along great at my finale. And so when he mentioned his mom, I think on either today's episode or last week's episode, I it was just nice to think of Mrs. Probst. It just didn't go the way that we thought that it would. So it was no big deal. Honestly, it's great to watch as a fan. I like to see the twists and turns. Obviously, I know Stephanie very, very well. But I have been a fan from afar of Ozzy's for a long time. I like the way he's played the game. I love Jonathan. I think Aubrey's an assassin. I just think she's so interesting. There's been so many people on who have started to surprise me. I seem to gravitate towards the old school a little bit more, just because I love, and I actually, Tom, I'm still really good friends with Tom, who won my season, Tom Westman, and he played with Suri on a season or two after, and I just remember how much he loved Suri, and as a result, I've always liked her. We've met once or twice, and I really enjoy her, and I think she's a really wonderful person. So I would have loved to have played with her, but I think there's a lot of good people, and honestly, I'm surprised at the number of people who early in the season I was like, oh man, they're gonna suck, and then as the season has gone on, I've just been so impressed with how their games come on, and it's been fun to watch.
Before we start into the episode specifically, would you have been able to keep up with this crew? Had you gone out for season 50, haven't played for over a decade, well over a decade, probably close to 2 decades.
20 years.
Yes. Would you be able to keep up with this new style of gameplay, all the twists and turns, all of that? Would you have been able to wrap your head around all of it?
Yeah. Oh, sure. Absolutely. It does. I mean, at the end of the day, I remember on the plane to Palau, I wrote a blank check to myself for $1 million, and I put it in my wallet. And I remember going out and jumping out of the boat for our first challenge, which was just to race to shore. And I won the first immunity. And I remember that day being like, everybody's going to be so smart and so good. And I was 20 years old. And I remember being so blown away with how dumb so many people were.
That was my experience on Tocantins. I was like, I have my work cut out for me physically. Everyone's going to be. And then after like a couple challenges, I was like, nope, I'm the best.
Yeah, it's going to be good. I'm not worried about it. And I feel physically, I feel as good as I felt when I was in my 20s. Ethan Zahn got me into marathoning and running races for charity. Back in 2008 or 2009, I went to Africa with him. And we've gotten to be really close friends. And I've been running marathons ever since. So I feel like the swimming and the running and the challenges were always my strong suit. So I would have loved, anything in the water. And so Fiji has so many good water challenges in swimming. So I'd have loved that.
Right. Well, it's a shame, but our fingers are crossed that we get to see you on a future season 60, maybe 55.
Oh, interesting. I hope they keep going. And honestly, I think I would, at this point, I would say yes. I think I'd say yes if they wanted me back. I would say the answer, and I don't know. I've done very few interviews over the years, and I haven't done anything since COVID. And I had always said it would be a no, if somebody called. And I think I'm at a point in my life where it'd be fun. I'm actually the age that Tom was when he won our season.
Oh, wow.
So right now, I feel like, okay, I have a couple more good years left in me where I can be a beast in the challenges. Yeah. I have something to prove too,
You hear that, Jeff? Ian's ready. Ian's ready.
And
it's a yes.
This mustache is new, but I might.
It's very cool.
I couldn't grow a mustache the first time I was on the beach, so I feel like maybe that would have to come.
A rebrand.
Rebrand.
Let's get into it. Episode 10. We had a little bit of a wild episode last week, and Emily and Devon's on the wrong side of the vote as they come back to camp. What did you think about their approaches? Because they were both a little bit different. Emily kind of was begging for forgiveness and saying, hey, I had to, that justifying what she did. And Devon's was just like, that's the way it works. You tried to deceive me. I tried to deceive you. It's Survivor. I don't know which is better, honestly. That's what I'm asking. Is one approach better than the other? Does it depend on the person? Because Devon's has kind of been unapologetic all season long, where I'm feeling not cringe for that, but I am like, should you just be like more apologetic and just be like, oh, I'm sorry, this is why, and make excuses and lie more? And he's just like, nope, I did what I did and you can deal with it, even though I'm on the bottom now.
He is on my list. First of all, like he was on my cringe list for the first couple of episodes, and I was just like, God, I would hate playing with this guy. And I was trying to think who he reminded me of on our season, and he doesn't really have an analog on our season. But he early in the game, I was just like, he talks so much, and there's like so many changes, and the ground shifts underfoot. And for me, certainty is so important. So, it's about three people. Winning Survivor is about three people. You need two rock solids, ride or dies. And then anybody else can shift in and out of that game. And he and Emily both represent shapeshifters where things can change really quickly. So I hate those games. I hate when people play those games. I think the fans love watching that. Because it's just so interesting. I think they came back to camp with kind of different approaches, and both approaches, in my opinion, really suck. Like as another player, I would have really been kind of in cut the bullshit mode. I think I like Devon's game exponentially more than I like Emily's game. I think in fact, I think this episode crystallizes him. I think he knew that this was a historic moment because he's such a fan of the game. And for him to step out the way that he did, to do it with his kids in mind, and just to kind of really unabashedly jump in. I loved the chance. I loved kind of being willing to go all the way to the edge. And I just feel like Emily's game, she really just says everything to everybody. and hopes that it falls the way that she wants it to. And I think that's a very dangerous way to play. I think it's a scared way to play. I'm sure she's a lovely person. I don't know her, but that game is for somebody who would want to be in the kind of pole position of controlling the game. Having an Emily is a real pain in the ass. Can I say ass on the podcast?
Yeah, you can.
Yeah.
All right.
Ass. There. Now you're not the only one. Do you think that all the people there are understanding that Emily is telling everything to everybody, or because people are still telling her things?
Yeah. That's a great question. I think it's a question of the edit versus what's actually happening on the beach. I mean, you know this, that there's so many more dynamics that are happening on the ground than what are coming through to the fans. Just because it's impossible to capture all the moments. And this was, I mean, when I played, we were still playing 30, 39 days.
Right.
So those moments had even more time to marinate. So you almost got even less of a snapshot. I feel like now you get more of a snapshot of what's actually happening. But they have to. I mean, you know who did this in our season was Kobe. He's a hairdresser.
Yep.
He would say a lot to a lot of different people. And we would, you just knew that his time was coming for one reason or another. And I think that, I mean, I'm going to look like an idiot if she ends up winning the season, but I think that, her time is coming. It was clear to me that Steph's time was coming, frankly.
Mm-hmm.
And, I played with her
for that same reason?
for a long time. No, she just started to pull the Emily on the past 2 episodes, right? She just started to start throwing names around that were her ride or dies. And it was like, you just can't do that. You get yourself into a place where there starts to be a fracture kind of in the ground under your feet. And once that happens, sometimes it's really hard to put the genie back in the bottle.
Yeah, I also think what happened was and this is common in Survivor, you give the information to the wrong person.
Yes.
To the person you think is with you. Yeah, this happened on this episode a bunch of times to everybody.
Yeah.
And so, and I was watching it and it's been happening. It's kind of been the downfall of a lot of people this season is going to someone. I don't know if it's because of these pregame alliances that have been built up and they're more solid. I don't know if it's because they're just like not reading the room correctly. Whatever it is, this has been happening a lot this season somebody is seemingly safe, goes to tell somebody the plan. That somebody that for whatever reason, the person delivering the information thought was with them is absolutely not. And flips it on its head and that person goes home.
I'm interested to hear what you all think, because pregame alliances were not a thing when I played. They did not start happening until
we almost kind of had one on Heroes versus Villains.
We really almost did, and it would have been a great one.
But it wasn't even solid. It was because I would have never talked to any of you. I didn't talk to any of you until the beach. So I had to sit down with Sandra in the airport for 10 minutes. I had to sit down with Rupert. I had to sit down with you. We were all 4 there. It was never mentioned again. Yeah,
right. My question though is with all the twists and turns, do you think that pregame alliances still matter?
I think that's why there is twists and turns to a certain degree.
To try to break that up. I know that
break that up and nullify it. Pregame alliances do matter. I believe that the winner isn't always a pre-gamer. I think now everybody's pre-gaming some. Like you're getting phone calls to what degree are you initiating, to what degree are you putting your faith and trust in whatever you're agreeing to on the phone. All of those, it's just you're playing the game for way, way longer. And we're not getting to see it materialize as fans. But it definitely does affect and shape the way the game moves. This game would move totally different if nobody had talked beforehand. I don't know if it would be positive or a negative or what, but I do believe that it shapes the game. Does it determine the outcome? No, not always, but it does definitely shape, because even if you're not on the same tribe, but people are aware that you talked before or something, because it's the same thing. It's the he said, she said. That game goes via phone. I'll call you and be like, Ian, I just heard from somebody who heard from somebody that you're going to be so-and-so's target if you're on the same. and then all of a sudden that's in your head, and who knows what's true. It's the same. The game is, so I think that by the time you hit the beach, you already have these preconceived notions and you have this information, and not all of it's correct. And then you adjust and play accordingly. And even some of it's just looming in the back of your mind, like maybe I can figure it out, maybe not. Like there was a famous pro cyclist who said that even if 99% of doping was eradicated from the sport, if it's not fully eradicated, it will still have an effect on the sport itself.
Yeah.
In that, out of 200 guys, if 2 or 3 are doping and they're ramping the pace up on certain moments, they're able to do certain things, other people are having to react to that, it's still shaping the race.
So you're saying that pre-game alliances are a lot like doping. No, it totally.
If it's in the contract that you're not supposed to pregame, then yes.
Totally, man. It's breaking the rules, in my opinion. And
I don't know if it's in the contract anymore. I haven't seen a contract for a while. But if it's in the contract, then yeah, it is against the rules.
It seems silly to me because like the show is for the fans. And so I think, if you love the game, it feels, to me, there are people when I watch that I immediately respect. And I say, if I were to play again, I would play with them. And there are other people that I'm like, I would not play with them as far as I can throw them. And, if you speak in the third person, there is no chance I'm going to play the game with you. It's just never, ever going to happen. And
with me?
No.
So you're out on Rizzo. You're yeah.
Oh my gosh. I'm so out on Rizzo.
Oh man, I love him.
I'm so out on Rizzo. Yeah, not for me. And Devins, I think, has spoken in the third person. I kept notes for a while and then I lost track, but yeah,
he does his broadcasting.
Coach is a third person guy.
Coach is a third person guy, not a guy I would play with. Again, I'm sure all cool people, and I'm sure I'd like them outside of the game, but I probably would not play with it.
Okay, so note to future.
Why, Riley? Would you are you a Rizzo guy? Or sorry, a Riz God guy?
I actually love Rizzo. The first little taste we got of him, I was like, oh man, I'm not going to be able to stand this guy.
Yeah.
And then he's just won me over the way he has so many people. I mean, it's just like Colby, where it's like, I can't stand him. And then 3 days later, you're like, actually, like, I think I'm going to play with Rizzo.
Yeah, right. That's fair. I can see that. There might be a little bit of projection here too, because he's young in the way that I was young when I played. And there's so much about the world I didn't know about when I played, and I can see that in him, is that he's a young guy that's playing amongst adults. Yeah. And that can be a hard place to be, frankly. I remember it was hard for me, and I didn't even know why at that time. I was kind of completely, I had no sense of orientation of some of those kind of adult dynamics that take place on the beach. And I feel like I can see that in him. So it might be a little projection from me too. I'm in my 40s. It's a whole different ball game.
I think the other thing with Rizzo for me is that I just love a good bit. And I think he's self-aware that the Riz God stuff is actually a bit. He's not like, yeah. We'll have to ask him more about it once we get an exit interview with him. But I don't think he's like, he's not like, I'm actually Riz God and I'm the best. He's like, this is a joke. So
yeah.
I like it.
Well, and the other thing he has a lot of knowledge of is even I think in this episode, or maybe it was last episode when Jeff participated in the challenge. I think it was last episode. Yep. And I think Jeff mentioned like the Survivor's favorite newscaster. He was able to rattle off the other newscaster that was on Survivor in that moment.
That was this episode.
That can be valuable. It was this one. Yeah. Hey, that can be super valuable.
But he played with her. And also, is Rick Devens Survivor's favorite newscaster? That's
it's up for debate. I imagine
it's up for debate. It's not. Yeah, Savannah has something to say about it.
If only we had a venue to debate the points of fandom for all the fans.
One day we'll come up with
audio
something.
venue.
Yeah, yes. That's also visual. Section. If you get on YouTube or whatever, it would have a YouTube channel. I'm assuming. Like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. That does help us out. We have a goal of hitting 15,000 subscribers. If you're listening to this, why not subscribe? Thanks for that, Ian.
Yeah, you'll get make some more accounts and subscribe from those too.
Yes. Rizzo, I think for me, when I'm watching it, probably the same. kind of annoys me in the same way that a teenager at a park would annoy me, where I'm just like, get out, you don't belong right here. Go to your place. But then also, if I'm in the game, I feel like I would work with Rizzo. I think like he shows some loyalty, he shows some chops, he can be quiet about a secret. I feel like I would gravitate. A second.
Can he be quiet about a secret? I don't think we've actually seen yet he can be quiet
if
about
he's loyal to you.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
if he's loyal to you, he can keep a secret.
I don't think he's had his Devon's moment yet, where I think Devon's had a redemption moment on this episode. Like, I think that this, I think that he was kind of, I don't know. You can overplay and you can underplay the show, right? In the game. Yeah. And I think he overplayed early in the season because he was maybe just so excited. He seems like a very excited guy, loves the game, loves just the lore of the show. And I think Devon settled in on this episode into kind of just the sweet spot of playing where it's like, he's not overdoing it. Yeah, he's not underdoing it. It's just fun to watch. And maybe Rizzo will have that moment too. I'm crossing my fingers for you, Riley, because I know how much you love him.
You love the Riz God. Here we go.
I think that Rizzo, just to like put a point on this, I do think his problem is that he reads actually even younger than he is. Like Tyson, you just called him a teenager. He's 25. He was 25.
He does read younger.
Yeah. He reads even younger. And so it's like hard to be like,
God, he's older than I was. Yeah.
Oh, I'm going to get to the end. Or like if he gets to the end, a jury's going to be like, oh, I actually really respect him and want to give him the now $2 million and title of sole survivor because I just like respect his gameplay so much. He's like kind of too big of a goofball for that.
Right. Well, there has to be some gravitas at one moment or another where people know that you're not just self-aware enough, but that you have been pulling the strings along the way. And the people who do that usually get respect votes. And I remember on my season, I don't think had I been playing now, that's a dynamic I would have recognized that I didn't recognize when I was playing. That you can garner respect votes by just letting people in enough that you fully understand what's happening and that you're responsible for how things are going. I was responsible for how things were going on my season without fully understanding the power that I was wielding. And as at an older age, I think you have the ability to kind of take all that in. And if he does that, if he demonstrates that ability, I think all of a sudden, he changes in terms of how he's viewed as a player. Otherwise, I think you can get into a place where you're just viewed as being pretty lucky or like likable enough, right? As opposed to being like a true baller.
Yeah. I don't think he can win. I honestly don't think he can win.
You don't think he'll win?
I don't think he can win.
No, I don't think he can either.
I think there's another factor at play here is that, and we saw it this episode specifically, Aubrey losing in the finals and being devastated by Michelle winning one of the times she played. I think that is factored into people's votes. Like, how long has this person been emotionally and mentally tortured by the game of Survivor? They deserve it this time. They came back after getting their heart broken and being devastated and vanishing from the community to a certain degree to come back. And I think
I empathize with this.
Aubrey has a story like that. Jonathan, to a little bit, has a story like that. So I think that you're looking down these people and you're like, Rick Devens, who ended up losing Edge of Extinction, where a guy came back after getting voted out very, very early to win the whole thing. Like,
well, Devens came out after getting voted on that.
He did
season.
too, but not as early. And so you're seeing people like this, where you're like, okay, they have had their heart crushed and they've been living with that heartbreak for who knows how long. I think Rizzo's just too fresh. Nobody is aware of his heartbreak with the show. He's not showing anything that he was heartbroken over 49. And I think that does play a factor. If I'm sitting on the jury and I'm watching somebody and somebody's like, I fought back, I came back after I swore I would never come back because it hurt too bad to lose. And now I'm here again.
I feel that so deeply. I mean, as I think back of all the times that I haven't played again, and how it ended for me on my season, I very much feel that. I feel like there's a feeling of wanting that redemption. There's also a feeling of being like, I don't know, I had a good run, but at the same time, you get to get so close and to not get it is really crappy. It's a really crappy feeling. So
I think that could be powerful for someone if they're sitting at the final three.
Yes, I think especially if there are other people on the jury who have also felt that.
Which is pretty much everybody.
Yeah, exactly. I can't say enough, by the way, good stuff about Jonathan. I just love that guy. I've never met him. I just think he's such a good dude. I think he'd be so fun to play with. I think he's a beast in the challenges. I've never seen anybody that dominant so far. And I know he doesn't necessarily have the same individual immunity record that some others do. But I think he's a cool dude. I like him. I like Ozzy too. I've never met Ozzy, but I've always liked this game.
So what is it that draws you to Jonathan so much?
I think you can get a really far way in this game, and frankly in life, by being a decent person, and by playing it to a degree straight. And I think that I felt this way about Joe. Joe was on my list early in the season where I was like, man, this guy's going to be so boring to watch. But then as the game goes on, I'm like, man, he's so fun to watch and such a good dude. And now that I'm a dad, seeing another dad play and, feel the way he talked about his kids in this episode in a way that I really identified with, I think you can get a long way by just being a person that everybody can depend on to be a decent person. And then with just enough gameplay to understand where you need to go in order to make sure the pieces fall your way. I think Siri to a large extent is this way too. I think, by and large, their listeners, they kind of take it all in. I always said the key to winning Survivor, even right after I played, the key to winning Survivor is to like shut up. And then when somebody messes up, very quietly point it out to everybody else. That's like the whole game, right? It's just like make sure when somebody messes up that everybody else knows about it. And I think that does two things. I think it puts the vote on somebody else and it keeps the vote away from you, which is just as important in the game. I think people are always like, how do we get to who we vote out? But if you notice, the really great players, they insulate themselves with at least like a vote deep, right? Where you don't ever hear their names because they've insulated themselves with a layer of people around them. And I think that is the result of watching what's happening and very quietly kind of making sure that you're that people know who like the kind of mess ups are, and then just quietly pointing that out. So I think Jonathan does that well. I think Siri is a master at it. I think Ozzy, Siri, sorry, excuse me. And I think Ozzy was not good at it earlier in his career with the show, but has gotten better at it. I think you see it on this episode.
Yeah, he does talk about that. Speaking of Joe, we get Rick telling everyone that his idol is fake, the one that he pretty much saved himself with a couple weeks ago. Is that a good move or a bad move by Rick to just, because I understand his idea was I'm going to place myself on the bottom, be easy, then nobody has to question. Also, I take the target off my back by being a sitting duck.
Not to skip ahead here a bit, but I do think if we kind of read how Tribal Council went down, this was going to be a very straightforward Devon's vote, right?
It was going to be
despite
Devon's.
all the scrambling, he was like, it was basically going to be like 9-1.
Yeah.
So
it seemed that way.
Maybe he would have, at least wanted to have something to bluff with again. I don't know. Part of me
I
is
feel like I would have held on to it. If I could have held on to it as Devon's in that moment, I feel like I would have kept bluffing with it and been like, I still have that idol.
Yeah.
Like, I'm definitely playing it tonight. Like, who knows?
Like,
I don't know.
Like, I do think that Devon's is in danger of, and maybe already has, like, kind of drawn dead, where it's like he's, his, like, chaos turns to, like, antics that is kind of to the point we're making earlier. Like, unnecessary and, like, hard, like, makes it hard for you to earn actual respect at the end, right?
Yeah.
To get those votes.
When it's unnecessary and just for fun or at someone else's expense or to giggle, that rubs jury the wrong way oftentimes. I think his love and exuberance for the game is a positive. People will see that and be like, oh, I love that he loves this. But to the point of decepting just because it's funny you can't go into in front of a jury and be like, there was no reason. I just was being silly.
Yeah.
And
I think at some point people are going to be
story than that.
Yeah. People are going to be sitting there and being like, you were like annoying to play with. And I'm just not going to vote for somebody who I was like annoyed by out there.
I just didn't have fun. Like, it just wasn't fun. Like, we spend a lot of time. It was
fun for Devins. He's having the time of his life. Everyone else is like, man.
Yeah. I can't tell if he doesn't care, if he cares or not. You know, really. And I think that there's no more fun person to watch play this game than somebody with their back against the wall. Like, that's the most fun person to watch on the show. And one of the things I love about the new show, like the newer seasons, that I think the older seasons didn't have, is in an older season, that would have been a Devins vote. Like that, it would have been it. Like, it was almost like it was locked. Once you're on the bottom, it was very, very difficult to switch it up in the old school, because there just there weren't enough chances to get people back to your side. And I think early in the show, those voting blocks were really tight, because you knew that if you kept your voting block tight, that you could pick off the weaker members early, and that it would just be you left with 4 or 5 people, and then you take your chances, right? Then you depend on your ride or die. And what I love about the new school is that it gives players like Devins a second and a third and maybe even a fourth shot to get there. But I think you all are right that it makes it very difficult to win. And I think that, like, this is one of the things I love about the show that reminds me so much of life. Like, it's the same thing. You know, if you're just there to have a good time at somebody else's expense, like, you're not going to make many friends, you know, in real life either. And so this is one of the many ways I see Survivor mirroring real life, where, you know, it's hard to win at life if, like, you know, you're just there to get a giggle at somebody else's expense. And so I think the same rules apply for the show, and we'll see. I think he can rescue it. You know, I think he earned a lot of respect from people tonight by being willing to go home to, and then up the ante. You could see people like, good job. They attaboyed him, you know, at the tribal council. And it's all about what he does with that, in my opinion. If he can that's capital, social capital that he could use. But if he squanders it, you know, he's going to be gone soon, I think.
He's not going to last. He has an idol that everybody knows about. They handed that over to him in public. So now they have to flush another idol. They got to flush him. Yeah. Secondly, he's the one that doubled the prize money. If he gets to the end, that's what he's resting everything on, is I was the one willing to put my neck on the line to even bump it to 2 million. You have no, that should be mine.
But he articulated why it wasn't even him putting his neck on the line, because he was like, well, my other option is play Shot in the Dark, which is 1 in 6. This is 1 in 2. And it comes with all these great rewards as well.
Nobody can claim. That's nobody's move. Like, nobody can steal that from him. It's not like they can be like, oh, well, it only happened because you were going to go. Like, they can justify that a little bit, but nobody else can take it from him. So that's not, I don't think it's going to matter. If there was a thing that he did where somebody on the jury was like, actually, that was me, that looks bad. But if he's like, I had the knowledge that it was probably me, and mathematically it made more sense to flip the beast coin, like, but that's all still Devins.
Yeah. He can't like build his whole case on this move. Like, this move doesn't win you the game.
Mm-hmm. It's not enough. I agree with you. But I think he can start to build a case with this move. But I don't think he's going to change his stripes at this point. I think he's kind of reveling in being like the court jester on this season. And
if I'm there, I'm trying to get him out. Yeah. I think this is enough to win jury votes. I think having him flip the coin, double the money, it's all there for everybody. Now I'm target number 1 because I did that, and I still made it to the end. That's enough. I think for me, I don't know what it would take to get him to the end or how he's going to act moving forward. But in this moment of time, watching this, if I'm a player, I need to get Rick Devins out, because I can't sit next to him at the end, because he at least added $1 million to that pot by taking that risk.
I have to tell you, though, there's not a lot of players left who I don't feel that about. Like, if I'm thinking through the people who are left, I think they did the right thing by getting Stephanie out. We can talk about that. But there are not a lot of players left that I'm like, man, I don't want to sit next to them on the jury. We're getting to that part where, that we're starting to see a lot of good players. There's a lot of good people right now that are playing. And like I said, the people that I didn't think were very good early on are really come on strong. And I've just gained a ton of respect for. So I'm excited to see how it shakes out.
Well, I don't want to dwell on this too long because we want to go to the auction, but I just wanted to point it out that after Rick tells everybody his idol's fake, Joe knew it. He fucking hates deception. And Rick
hates it.
Has to go.
You can see it. You can see it in his eyes.
He hates deception.
I was like, why are you on the show, man?
Yeah, stop lying to people about stuff.
I think it's great. It's so important to have that person on the show, though. You want that person on the show.
It is. You have to have the person that's just like, are you lying? Wait, are you lying?
And then they're always taken aback. They're always surprised that how could you do that?
And then they get caught lying and they're like, no, but I had to. I did it the way that you can do it, but
that's a coach move. That's how that's to me. Yeah. That's coach's entire game right there.
And he knows it, which is so good. It's this, the auction. Auction's back. We get to see the auction.
God, I love the auction.
Got a twist.
Was there an auction on Palau? I cannot recall.
Yes.
Okay.
There was an auction on Palau. And I had a you're super stinky moment with Jeff because I was. But yeah, we had an auction. And I remember there were same type of deal where there was some chaos involved. Like you could pay, but you had to put money down. And there was one that was full of bat wings that you could buy. And somebody bought, I don't remember who got it. I remember I won a beer. I split a burger with somebody, and there was also balut. That was our gross thing on that season. And
Balut's not that bad.
Personally, the big secret for me was I loved every time we had a balut challenge. I was like, bring it on. It's like eating eggs. And so I think I got those too.
It's like a hard-boiled egg with the flavor of 10 hard-boiled eggs in one hard-boiled egg. So it's very eggy flavor.
Yes. With slight chicken wing. Yeah. Because it is, but crunchy because there's bones.
Because there's bones in it. Yeah.
So, I mean, gross, but when you're hungry.
Yeah. So.
No sea slug, though.
No, the sea slug looked. Actually, this is where I thought Aubrey became a total baller, by the way. I was sleeping on her, and she just this is where I was just a total assassin.
She said she's psycho a couple times this season. We're are you though? And then I
love it. I can't wait to see how she turns out because I think she's got game. I just loved it. I loved that move.
Dancing around, eating it. She didn't even have to eat it. She was the one who paid for the thing. And then she was like, I'm going to eat these too. And she's eating them and dancing around and showing everybody and does it in record time and seems to enjoy every moment of it. I was like, that's crazy.
Baller.
That's
such a baller move.
Is psycho. And last week during the challenge, did she lick the thing as she was reeling it in or was she just sticking her tongue out?
Oh, I didn't see that. Yeah, maybe
she was like, I'm psycho. And then I think she just stuck her tongue out and then lost immediately. But I was like, if she would have licked that would have been fucking psycho.
Totally. I'd start to be scared. I'd be like, oh man, don't mess with her.
Yeah. If she doesn't get sick from licking that thing. Yeah. But future contestants, if you want to prove that you're psycho, lick some germ-covered shit just because you can't.
Totally.
Follow I'm Psycho with a lick.
Yeah. God, I loved watching Jeff participate in the challenge. That was last week. That was so fun. But
he wasn't good at it. But
no, that's why it was so great. I was like, man, I'd love to see him spend the night on the beach too. Now, while we're here,
that's maybe next season, hopefully. Yeah. As that challenge last week was teeing up, I was like, oh, this is the perfect challenge that they could tip the scales without fans seeing in Jeff's favor by giving him less weight.
Yes. But they didn't seem to. I think. Yeah. No, because he was. he seems like a strong guy. And every time I've, hung out with him in person, I've been, he's like in great shape.
Yeah.
But I have to tell you that challenge, that is not one I'm usually great at those types of challenges. And that was one I would not have liked. It does not seem, it's like strength to weight ratio. It's
not even strength to weight ratio. It's also the palms of your hands, the skin rips off of them.
Yeah.
Because if you got more weight. So that's the thing. I think they did that on Blood versus Water. I sat out and ate watching it, but everybody over 180 pounds, the palms of their hands were ripped wide open. And
it makes sense.
Everybody who's lighter didn't, because they don't have that same pressure spinning against their skin of the palm of their hands.
Yeah.
So auctions happening. Do you like the chaos and comfort stuff?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, the auction's always fun. There's going to be letters from home. There's going to be food that, people aren't in as bad shape as they were when I played by this time. And so, a lot less hunting going on, a lot less like gathering going on. So much more of the game when I played was about finding food. So much of the game, so much of our time was spent, my time was spent finding food. So I feel like in the old school, I felt like when you got to this, you were already down like 20 or 30 pounds. And, you were really desperate at this point. It was just
it didn't seem like anybody was so desperate. Nobody was spending all 500 on one item, which I expected. Like auction items were stopping at like $100, $70, $80, $90, $160 for a half a PB&J, whatever. It's like the first thing, the onions, rings, and fries. That looks fucking delicious. I would have spent 500. I would have spent all 500 on the onion rings and fries.
I was thinking the same thing, Tyson. I would have spent all 500 immediately because I was scared of the chaos.
Well, I would have just been like, I know that's good. Fries and onion rings. I know that's going to fill me up. It's nice and greasy and fatty and all of that stuff. I would think about this. I'm just firing all of it. Like, obviously I wouldn't have needed to go to 500. I would just kept outbidding till somebody stopped. But I'm taking the first thing that fills me up. That is delicious.
Yes, agree.
The shake wouldn't fill me up. I'm not spending on the shake.
No, and it also, if people don't know this, but like it's usually been sitting for a little bit. It might be in a cooler, but it's not going to be as cold as you want it to be. Like just not like
they do better at that now.
Do they do better?
Yeah, that's good. I think once people started complaining about how the pizza was so disgusting because it'd been sitting out forever, they started getting stuff really fresh.
Yeah, that's cool. I remember in ours, I looked at somebody, I don't remember who it was, it might have been Steph. And I was like, you want to go halvesies on this and we'll both bid it up and take it. And I wanted somebody to do that type of stuff. Like I like that, but I always loved the auction and I love the chaos. And I really loved what happened when Jimmy walked in. Cause I think everybody was just uncertain as to what was going to happen next. And that threw the entire axis off kilter.
So Rizzo, as you predicted, Riley, flipping the fuck out that Mr. Beast is there. Just so pumped.
Totally.
So pumped. You can see. Well, and Suri doesn't know who he is.
No.
Not at all.
Not at all.
Suri had the best line of the entire challenge, though, where she was like, I'm not here for carrots.
Yeah.
They were like, you want to sit at a carrot place?
I did think that was a weird bid for Jonathan to go after the carrots and hummus. There was crackers too, but it was a weird purchase compared to the fries.
He's such a Gen Zer. Like he might be Gen Alpha. What generation is he? I think he's Gen Z. And I think you're right. I think Suri was like, I don't really care.
Yeah. And that's what I think is honestly, we've had a lot of celebrities on this season. We have all that stuff. The problem is not everybody knows these people. Like even people out there, like I wouldn't have known the country guy. Nope. I know Zach Billie Brown. Eilish. Yeah. And I don't.
But she's not there.
But she's not there. Jimmy Fallon, of course.
Jimmy Fallon. Yeah.
Mr. Beast. If this was 2 years ago, I wouldn't have known. I only know him now because he has a show on Amazon and because I knew this was coming. Like those are the only two reasons. Like I've never seen a Mr. Beast video. I don't know anything about that. 2 years ago, I would have been completely unaware. But I mean, maybe that's good TV is watching Suri either not care that he's there or have no idea who he is. It was one of those two things because she didn't react.
It had an enormous impact on the game. Like it really was a cool. The introduction of what he introduced was extraordinarily cool, I thought.
Yeah. Anything else from the auction that stood out before we go straight to the immunity challenge? I also liked that twist. I like Cirie gets sick, everybody's barfing, people are overeating.
I felt like it should have been a big, like, you gotta swim like a long distance type of immunity
get them to barf
challenge. Then you gotta run. And so
you need more barfing.
No, this is what it should have been.
Yeah.
They should have had to eat something, like be like, you gotta swim to this barge and then you gotta eat a whole chocolate cake. And then like add more eating to whatever they're doing. Just be like, to start the challenge, you have to eat a bowl of vanilla pudding. Then you run half a mile and then you have to eat. Yeah. Then a beer. Did you say a beer mile?
A beer mile.
Yeah. Or a donut mile or whatever.
Mile?
Yeah. Donut run, whatever. It's just like each station is a new thing until everybody's just like, why did you feed us at the auction only to have more of it at the challenge? Come on,
man, that'd be great.
That feeling is so real, though, that I can identify with that. I remember when I won the car, they had a big spread for us, and Tom and I ate, and then I threw up 3 times. I would just go eat and then throw up, and then come back and eat more, and then throw up, because your body so desperately wants the feeling. Your brain desperately wants the feeling of eating and feeling like you're putting. And so I kept doing it. Because at that point I probably lost 40 or 50 pounds. I was just desperate for food.
Yeah.
So I can identify with that. But I if they would have put me on a challenge right after that, I would have probably passed out.
Oh man, missed opportunity. I liked going straight from
totally
auction to challenge, but
I agree.
Make them eat. Come on.
Yeah.
Just be like, move from that, even to the gross eating challenge. Be like, we're moving from the auction directly to the gross eating challenge.
It would have been so mean. I'd have loved it.
Sassy Jeff would have done it.
Sassy Jeff. Yeah.
Also, like, they get the letters. What if somebody hadn't paid the $20? Would nobody have gotten the letters?
They must have been tipped off, because I noticed that Cirie had exactly $20 left. She paid $180 for the blanket, $20 for the toothpaste and mouthwash, and then $280 for the charcuterie board. She literally had spent $480.
I also thought it was absurd that Cirie bought a blanket first, and then brought toothpaste.
I thought it was a very poor choice.
I was like, she's choosing non-food items for what purpose? Is she full from the rice because she made everybody overcook rice last time, or is she not caring, or is this more important to her?
She got more charcuterie board than she needed in the end.
She did at the end, but I think she lucked out.
Yeah,
okay.
I think she lucked. Yeah,
I'm wondering if the goal was just for somebody to overspend and to not have the $20. And then they were hoping that somebody would get all the way to the 500.
Someone else.
And then somebody would have to step in and save them or help them, or that you wouldn't get the letters. And I'm wondering if that just didn't go the way they wanted it to.
No, they want the letters. They want the letters there. They want
the letters are huge. Yeah. Maybe they were tipped off then. Save your 20s.
So maybe. Yeah, I don't know that they were tipped off, but also maybe they just looked
what
at
would have happened. Like if she had no money, or if
somebody
like
would
they
have given her $20.
Somebody would have given her 20. Yeah.
What if they didn't have enough between all of them? You know, if everybody
Jeff would have made it happen, or it would have.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
So they had to find some way of doing it. This is a question I get the most. I'm sure you get it all the time too. Is how much of it is staged and how much of it is real? And I feel very strongly that, like, at least in my season, and that so much, like, all of it is real. The only time they really turn the cameras off is when they're miking you for tribal council and for challenges, and the safety walkthroughs. So people say, like, when do they stop and give you a cheeseburger? And obviously that never happened when I was on the show. And so I really love. I love that they've tried to preserve that over the years, to the extent that it's possible, just because it does give the show a lot of credibility that I think other reality TV shows don't have. And I think that, by and large, that probably has a lot to do with Jeff, because I think he knows that that's what makes the show, people come back for it. But I don't know. Maybe it's changed. You guys can tell me, but that was my experience.
Should I just keep my mouth shut? I think it's mostly real. When people ask me, I say it's mostly real. But I think if you're saying it's 100% real, your observation is off.
The only time
I think there's subtleties. I think there's subtleties that are read by some and not by all, and also can be misinterpreted. But
producers, I always said the most valuable part of the show was listening to how producers were asking you questions in your one-on-ones. Like those were that was giving you while they had never had to say anything, the way they were asking questions was so extraordinarily valuable to the gameplay. I wish there was some way to have a camera on them too, because that to me was always the area where I think there was a lot of information to be garnered that you weren't getting from other places.
Do you have like an example of the kind of thing you're talking about?
When we lost our fire, our boat flipped over because Kobe didn't do what he was supposed to do, and our boat flipped over and we lost our fire and it went to the bottom of the ocean. This is before safety swimmers too. That was something I noticed on this show, is that there was a safety swimmer when coach got a cramp, and I wanted to say that was something that we did not have safety swimmers. We just had people with cameras. And I almost drowned trying to get that freaking flint back into the boat. And I finally got it. And I was in the water for probably 2 hours and finally got it. And, but it took us a couple times going out, and producers were always like, where are you going to look next? Do you think you're going to look out by the, they wanted us to get the flint, right? They really wanted us to find it. And I don't think that they gave anything away, nothing on them. I just think that they, for example, like we know that they want the letters. There's no way they're going to get through this thing without getting the letters, because the letters is great TV and they want people to hear from their families just because they want to see the reactions. And I understand that.
Is the letters great TV? Are the letters great TV?
I think it depends on the person.
Okay.
Sometimes I always feel bad for people when some people are like, man, I can't wait to get letters. I'm a good example, because we could have bought letters on my season and I was like, nah, no big deal. I didn't have anybody, like my parents, but they all, I wasn't attached to anybody. I didn't have kids. I didn't have a wife. So they were like, oh, it's $100. I don't remember how much Jeff said it was going to be for letters. And I did not take it. I was like, I'd rather eat. I just at a stage in my life where, I knew my parents loved me, and I'm only gone 3 weeks. It was different, but now I think it would be different, because I think, I would end nations for my children. And so to hear from them would be great. So yes, I think it can be good TV.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, people were touched and reading the letters, and on all those, I was like, oh, I don't think I ever had to read a letter. We got our letters after the show. I don't think I ever got a letter on camera, but I can imagine them being like, okay, now read it out loud. Here's the camera. Okay, read it again. Let me
totally. Do you mind
get
reading
closer.
It one more time?
Can you read it?
Do you mind getting it one more time?
You have to read it back. Don't stutter. I know. Yeah. Just read it perfectly. Yeah. That line specifically.
Did you cry a little more?
No, they wouldn't instruct you with that. They just
they don't need you with that. It don't need to do naturally. That. The hardest thing for me was, I remember I lost a challenge where I lost. It was actually ended up being good for me because it allowed me to make a big move in the game. But I lost a challenge with your loved ones, where your loved ones would come and visit.
Yeah.
And they got to go on a boat and swim with dolphins with their loved ones. And it turns out my dad had come, but was on the boat waiting. But I knew he was out there, but couldn't see him. And that was actually way harder than any letter or anything, because we were deep into the game. It was good because when they left, it was a good time to make the move. That I remember that being really difficult.
Yeah, my brother on Tocantins, he flew out for the family visit, but I'd already been eliminated. But they had it was like a 3 or 4 day travel, so they had to start him going. So he showed up, and I could see. So they'd take you into town from the jury to go eat and at restaurants and do day trips and stuff. And I could see another convoy of vehicles moving around town and stuff like that. And I was like, my brother is in those vehicles, and they won't let me see him.
Yeah.
And it was annoying because I was like, I know he's here. Let me, I'm at Ponderosa. He knows I'm not in the game, because they were like, oh, it's NDA. And I was like, yeah, but he already knows I'm not in the game by being here and knowing that he doesn't get to see me. So it was very weird. Now I do believe if that does happen, they do allow you to see your loved one at Ponderosa. But it was a real kind of point of contention with me and production in that moment where I was like, he's right there. And he made like the 3-day trip to come out to Brazil and over Thanksgiving. And you're not going to let him and I visit? Like,
you're right. It was over Thanksgiving for us too. I remember that.
Letters are read. Everybody's crying. Everybody's now motivated to stay in the game longer. And the scramble starts. And at first you kind of think, okay, it's going to be a little straightforward here. Like people are targeting Ozzy. I think we had, who was it? Jonathan and Stephanie throw and Ozzy's name out to Aubrey and Devins.
Yep. That was dumb. That was a dumb move by Stephanie.
It immediately gets back to Cirie. And then Cirie reads the hell out of Stephanie.
Joe's the one who brings it back, right?
Oh, yeah. So they go to Joe. Joe goes to
Joe. His righteous anger.
His righteous anger.
His righteousness rain down upon them.
Yes. He goes and tells Cirie, and then Stephanie gets wind of it. It's a whole thing. It's a whole mess. To me, this accurately depicts, maybe for the first time in Survivor history, how almost every scramble feels as an individual in it.
I completely agree with that. I thought it was a really good way of capturing what it actually feels like. And I think that it this time it flipped. I don't know. They kept saying it was because of Mr. Beast, and I don't really know if it was because
the unknown. That's what they kept saying, right? I don't also know if that's accurate or not. I do believe that, okay, there's an unknown with Mr. Beast. We do have to have a plan B in place. That's what I think is the extent of what you can do. So there was talking of splitting votes. There was talking of a bunch of different scenarios, and it kept bouncing around to to everybody. I thought it was interesting, again, how Cirie tricked Stephanie on Traitors.
She caught her. Yeah.
Then Cirie also outplays Stephanie on Snake in the Grass. And then Stephanie gets got again by Cirie.
Yeah. I mean, I know Stephanie really well.
Okay.
She's, of all the players that are on the show, I know her the best this season. And she's just like, Stephanie is a super strong competitor. You know, she played lacrosse at Monmouth. They let her wear a Monmouth lacrosse sweatshirt this season. So you can see like she still got it. She can still hang in there. Like she's a hell of a challenge beast. And you know, I thought I was the best swimmer on our season, and I think Stephanie was right there with me. She's a really good swimmer. I think that she values having a tight ride or die. I think that that's like her style of gameplay, and I think Cirie just has her number. I think Cirie just outplayed her. I think Cirie's got a very, very strong head game, and I think Cirie also saw an opportunity because Stephanie could get votes in the jury. I think she's a strong player, and I think that Cirie saw a chance, and I think she took it masterfully. I think it was a really good play on her part. She just, same thing, right? She just listened to where the person was messing up. She found out who was messing up, and then she just very quietly pointed out to everybody, and then she let everybody else do the talking. That's why she's so good at the game.
Was Stephanie, wasn't she with Ozzy? Was she not with Ozzy? I thought that they had a fairly close, like old school Survivor relationship. So I think that also can scare, like if I'm Cirie and I see that Stephanie is willing to turn on Ozzy, then is she not willing to then also target me? It would be my, 100%. And then it's like, okay, I'm protecting Ozzy. Like if I'm in that group and that's happening, I'm protecting Ozzy and going for the person I thought was with us that isn't. That's just like Survivor 101 almost.
Yeah.
Anything else? Because we have a ton of tribal council to get to.
I just kept thinking about how much I envied Tip's position in that moment, because I think that to have the immunity idol, and I just remember having the immunity idol, and feeling when that was getting ready to go is you're just like, oh boy.
Yes. It feels
just
so
on
good.
Easy street. It's just, you feel so good because you're like, no matter what happens, almost the feeling is you actually get to watch it, right?
Exactly.
You get to be a viewer while they're on the ground. And that is a really fun feeling. So I so many times as I was watching her, and it would cut to her every once in a while and she'd just be smiling.
Yeah.
Which I just loved.
Yeah.
Do you guys think that when the scramble is this chaotic, and they're saying it's changing every 30 seconds, that kind of eventually leads people to a bit of a safer vote, in this case Devon's, because you're not like, occasionally we were getting some like, well, what if we split the vote so we could do this, but it's like, is it even possible to make a complex plan like that when there's just so much happening?
I think that most of the times it doesn't come back to that, but it can. Like it does, it does circle back a lot to the original idea that still is getting tossed around. Like, well, what if we just did go back to Devon's? Like that definitely happens. I think especially when there's this much like discord as to like what is actually happening. And I think that it's weird because even though everybody's like, it's crazy, I don't know what's going on, there's a part of most people that probably feel like they have some belief in what's going to happen, even though they may not. And I think it probably wasn't as chaotic as, and we'll hear tomorrow from Stephanie, but I'm feeling like this is standard chaos for a chaotic vote. I don't think every chaos is, I don't think every vote is this chaotic, but I think that every chaotic vote is this chaotic, where plan is shifting. We're trying to figure something out. We don't want to do the easy thing right now because this is the time to make a move. The other side is kind of sniffing it out a little bit, or also decided that timing is perfect to make a move. And then it goes back, and then you're just like, I don't know, like that. This happens on Survivor.
We didn't have a lot of chaotic tribal councils when I played, just because our alliance was strong. And I had like 25 days of being with the same tribe where we didn't have to face a vote. I think it's a record. I think we won 8 or 9 challenges in a row. And so we picked everybody off. And then the merge was just Stephanie joining our tribe. She was the last one left.
Yeah.
And it was because that tribe was so utterly weak I don't think it was necessarily because we were so strong, but they just couldn't get their act together from a communication perspective. So the chaos was all happening on that side of the ball. They were just, every time it was just, when I watched the show, it was crazy to see how poorly they communicated. So we had the benefit of kind of having like summer camp. We had figured out how to eat. We all liked each other for the most part. There was a few that didn't, but it was easy. So I didn't have many of those until the spotlight was on me, towards the end. And that's where things got more chaotic. But I would say that people who, again, when your back's against the wall, I agree with you, Riley, that, you want to revert to the thing that gets the spotlight off of you the fastest. And whatever that is, you're looking for the weak, easy link. And you're going to try to drive energy to that person as fast as possible.
Devon's in this moment, as you saw, Riley, to your question there. He saw the target could be off of him, and he's just going with every single fucking plan that's not him. He does not give a shit. He's just like, yep, I'm going for that. No, okay, I'm with you. And then also admitting it. Like, I know it's probably me, so like it's nothing personal with anybody, but like I'm just trying to be out here right now. And I think that's nobody's going to harbor hard feelings against that logic because it's true. If it weren't true, you'd be like, he's just, but the fact that it is true, everybody's like, yeah, we're giving you a free pass to move how you want, Devon's, with nobody being upset at you because we also understand that you understand that.
We talked about this earlier, but that was the part of his game today that was a masterstroke, and that he laid it all out and he didn't wilt. He took every opportunity to make sure that the energy kept going back to Steph. And
Let's go to it,
every chance he could get to say, and I'm being truthful, he took that as well. And so I thought, his gameplay was really, really strong. I think it's just his delivery that he needs to clean up in order to get taken more seriously. Because the move of like just blowing it up, I always love, and I think it was really well played, because I think he did both. He did the whole. Had he not done that and not played the coin, it would have been him. But he made it Stephanie. I mean, it was his decision he was the one that was responsible for Stephanie going home.
At Tribal, I love Rick blowing it up. I think that, I do also love that move. Like, I'm going to say all the things at Tribal Council and expose everybody. You have to be careful who you expose. You have to choose a side and decide who to target, which his target was that side with Stephanie and Jonathan there. A couple things that stood out to me is that early on in the episode, he said he had to remember not to be angry. Then he got his letter, and his wife was telling him to have fun and enjoy it.
Playful.
And then at Tribal Council, I think he did a really good job of not getting overly defensive to the point of animosity or tension with Stephanie and Jonathan.
Yeah.
He kept it light enough that he didn't seem like his blood was boiling, or that he was, because I can feel myself in some of those contentious moments where like my blood starts to boil, and then I start getting like feistier, and he kept that down, which I thought was powerful. And I liked it. Also, whether he's lying or not in that moment, if he's delivering the information first to people, even if the idea to target Ozzy was his idea, the fact that he's the first to say, nope, it was these guys, it doesn't matter. Like, they're believing him. And that's where Survivor also is very, very tricky, because it's not who delivers the truth that matters. It's who delivers the information first that gets credited with telling the truth, whether or not it's real.
And another area where Survivor mirrors life, in my opinion.
And Rick was first to market with Jonathan and Stephanie targeting Ozzy.
And the piece of information when he reveals that Stephanie has a steal vote, and she confirms it.
Yes.
And then she confirms it. Right. And then you get the question from Tiffany that's like, well, why would you, like, if you're actually trying to get out Devins, why would you tell him that you have an advantage?
Yeah.
And it's like, at that point, I was like, oh man, Stephanie, like, even if she had made it out of this, let's say, if the coin goes the other way, or it ended up being a Devins vote, like, Stephanie kind of got put in a blender at this Tribal Council.
Yeah, she did. She kind of, all aspects of her game were exposed, and they have been all season. Like, I said before that she's a beast in challenges, and she is, but unfortunately, either being on the losing side of a challenge or some bad luck, she's lost. She might have the record for most losses in challenges, to be honest with you, in terms of, it's like Brett Favre has the most record for most touchdowns, but also the record for the most interceptions. To confirm the steal the vote, I think was a very poor move, because she could have shifted Devins back onto his back heel. If she played it right, she could have got him back onto his heels. But she started to wilt because she got caught, and she didn't have a good response whenever she got caught. And then you can see everybody start to move. Like, the tide turned against her as soon as I think her maybe first or second response, people were like, wait a second. And then she wilted. And I've done that. I've been in that position and wilted. And it's not pretty, because once you get caught, now all of a sudden there's no heel to push anybody back to. The gig's up. And it's weird in a game where lying is part of it. When you get caught in a lie, people are still for some reason, like, there's some emotional response. We have this, this natural human response of being like, how could you do that? Which is so fascinating. Even in the context, like on the beach, you lie, people are like, oh, good gameplay. In that moment when you lie, there's like this mob mentality that takes, where you see like one or two or three and then four people, and they all just pray like, okay, well, that's the game. And they were like,
which is crazy to think about, because honestly, if you're going to try and play like chess, that person is someone you should keep in the game, because their game is blown so wide open that there's no recovering from it. For example, Stephanie sure, she said the wrong things at the wrong time, but also she kind of had to. Like, too many people were present when she told Rick about her steal a vote. So she can't deny having a steal a vote because other people will already, whether they say it in front of the group there, they'll know already. So anything you share in a group setting, you have to now measure your reaction against that. Like, you can't be like, nope, you're lying. Because then Jonathan's like, no, she did. And even if it's just in his brain, he's now clocking you as a liar as well. So I think she had to respond the way she did, measuring like who knew what about her.
Would it have helped her game if she would have thrown Jonathan under the bus in that moment? Like, would that have made it more confusing for the vote? Would that have just made her look worse?
I think it would have made her look worse. Like, oh, she has no loyalty with anybody.
It might. I think it might. If she, it depends on how she delivered it. If she delivers it well, it could have helped her in that moment, but it would have hurt her immediately after. Like, it's like a desperate move, right? It's like a Hail Mary. And if it hurts you, then you're a pariah because nobody then trusts you. You've effectively alienated all of your ride or dies, and at that point, you're done. I think.
Yeah,
it's hard to win it back.
Yes,
and then the only thing you have is to win challenges at that point and hope that things turn.
But you're not going to win the game at that point, though. If you've betrayed every single person, even your ride or dies, and even if you win all the way out, I don't think you have a very strong argument to winning. Other than my back was against the wall, and I did what I had to do.
Yeah, exactly. There's been winners. There's been people who come in second that way, and it's like people who vote for you on the jury vote for you because they begrudgingly respect your game, but they do not want to vote for you. It's almost like they hate the other person more. So, you're getting the vote by default.
And then Jimmy, who is Mr. Beast, guys. I don't know why they keep bouncing between names. It's like me with Rick and Devins. It's the same person I'm talking about. Rick or Devins, same person. Jimmy or Mr. Beast, same person. Why are we calling him Jimmy? That's weird.
Well, I don't actually know. I was wondering, I'm like, so in his videos, does he go by Jimmy or does he go by Mr. Beast? He
goes by Mr. Beast, I think.
I wonder if Jeff just couldn't bring himself to call him Mr. Beast.
He called him Mr. Beast. I think.
Yeah.
I also
would
thought
you
it was
go by
humbling.
Beast?
No,
like, don't.
Please, Mr. Beast is my father.
I think also the moment where Jeff was like, "Thanks for coming on our little show." Like, how bad did that sting Jeff to have to give Mr. Beast his flowers for having way more viewers on YouTube? I thought was. And then Jimmy, as we know him, is like, nah, you're Survivor. You're the OG, which is true.
Yeah, it is true. And I think that, if you looked at the curve of viewership over the years between Survivor and Mr. Beast, if you said at the beginning, 70 million people were watching, early on. I remember our season finale, I think, was like 25 million people watched.
Yeah.
And it was so like, those numbers are massive, even by today's standards of videos and then, somewhere in 2010, 2012, 2015, Jimmy Beast.
Yep.
Is that his actual last name?
Yeah.
James Beast.
Yeah.
Yes.
James Beast came on the scene and that changed, right? So it's fascinating because it really has taken place over such a very strange time in American media. So it would have had to been strange for Jeff, who at the beginning, I'm sure Mr. Jimmy was, just a wee tyke watching Survivor and being like, oh, I'd like to make videos one day. And now, he's one of the biggest guys in the world. It's still so strange to me that a YouTuber can be one of the biggest media personalities on the planet. But here we are.
Do we think it's super lucky for Jimmy that this advantage went well?
Yeah, Ashleigh, if Sari had been the one to flip the coin and it had not gone and she had gone home, the fans would be in an uproar. And I've been thinking about this a lot because I was like, the fans would have been upset, especially the fans that are online. We would have gotten that. Yeah. That's what critics do.
I'm upset anyways. So
that's what critics do, is they criticize. That's part of it. Like and when I'm watching the show, like I get people that are like, oh, you're being, and I was like, I'm watching the show And in my brain, I'm like, how could I have made this better? How could this have been a better viewing experience? How did they get this perfect? Like, not everything is going to obviously be a winner. And also, I don't have all of the greatest ideas in the world. I'm just watching this and saying, you could have done something better here. I do.
Yeah.
I don't like the randomness of the luck of flipping a coin. I think that's a different show. I don't think that's Survivor. But it worked out okay because the coin flipper won, doubled the prize pot. People love that. And it still went to a vote after that. So I think that it could have gone really bad had that person just exited or, but I do believe that this luck portion of it, I don't love.
I love that James Beast was willing to put that on the line. Like, I think that it was so cool that he was like, okay, well, we'll take it to a coin flip. My guess is, if I'm a producer, my guess is that I have some if-then scenarios. Like, if it's tails and he goes home, we need another way to ratchet up the pressure for the future and get the money to 2 million. Like, my guess is there's
no way that Jimmy Beast isn't giving another extra $1 million to the prize pool. It was lucky enough to work out the first time, but had he lost, would it have gone to the next tribal council and be like, well, Jimmy's back tomorrow night.
Or another
somebody
person,
else is flipping.
Just keep flipping until
or another person, or they'd have found. I don't know that that's not over. You know, I don't know that that's not over. They might ratchet it up again, given where we are. And so my guess is that there's probably another person or another guest that's going to introduce the elements that get us to where we're going to go at the end, no matter what. It's just like it would have been just not as fun TV, and you could see Beast was like so thrilled that it went heads because I think maybe he's definitely a fan, but even more than that, man, he put his own thing to a coin flip. Like, the success of his wrinkle was at a coin flip, and I think he was so thrilled that it went the way that it did. You could see.
Yeah, he was definitely thrilled and relieved, and I think if you're building show around or the twist around it having to work out for that person to not get shit on by the viewership, then maybe it's a little too risky.
They also benefited from like having somebody who, one, kind of knew that they were going to get voted out, so would volunteer to do it. And then two is also Rick Devinson's built his whole reputation and game on chaos anyways. I mean, he was like, I'm built for the coin flip Mr. Beast twist. His kids love Mr. Beast, and this is like his whole game anyways. So if it had been like, if Devins wasn't there.
It goes to a rock draw. Cerie rock draws that she has to flips and goes home.
Then that's crazy. Like, that would be just a revolting outcome. And I don't know. I don't know why we're building things into the game.
That's such a Mr. Beast outcome, though. Yeah. Like, he kind of runs on whether it's going to be the most cruel outcome or the most money-filled outcome. So this totally makes sense for him, but it doesn't make sense for Survivor.
See, I guess that's right. Yeah, exactly. That's like my problem with it then, is that it's like, well, then it's a different show. That's Beast Games. I can watch Beast Games. I can watch the most popular YouTuber in the world. It's not like I don't have access to this type of stuff. Yeah. It's out there and it's very popular, and it's
good move branding wise for him, because there's a whole group of like non-Gen Zers and young millennials who are like, who is this Mr. Beast? And
CBS audience. Yeah, absolutely.
Cool. Like, it's really smart. He did the right thing. I think that, is anybody else just blown away by how tall he was?
Yes, I noticed that too.
He was sneaky tall.
He was towering over.
He's
Jeff
like Brooks. An offensive lineman.
He's only as tall as us, Ian. He's only like 6'2" or 6'3".
How tall are you? You're 6'7", right? Yeah.
No, I'm 6'3"-ish.
Yeah, I'm 6'8". I think there's one other player that was taller than me, but
I think
Mitchell, a guy named Mitchell.
No, there was been an NBA player. Scott Pollard was.
Oh, has there?
Yeah, and Cliff Robinson. I I think that I saw online that Mr. Beast is like 6'3" and Jeff Probst is like 5'10".
Yeah, Jeff's like 5'10". Yeah.
But I don't know if he's a true 5'10". You know, these Hollywood types.
Yeah, he's listed. That's his listed
pump up their
height.
numbers a little bit.
He's a tall 5'10".
He's a tall 5'10". So I was blown away when he stood there, and I was like, I guess Jeff didn't want to be on a stepping stool or something right there in that moment. He could have been. He could have put himself at the same height, but he didn't. So, you know, two things.
Teeth. I was impressed with his teeth. He had nice teeth.
They're not real.
No, of
they
course
look
they're not
like
real,
veneers.
Rick flips this thing, overjoyed, obviously. Also, I think if you're Rick and you're feeling like you are going to, like, we'll find out again. Was Rick the target? Was he going to go home in that moment? I believe that he was.
Yeah.
If that's the case, you're pumped for this 50-50 flip. You are absolutely pumped for it. It couldn't have come at a better time. Is there a part of you, if you're against Rick, that is blocking him from flipping the coin by flipping it yourself?
Gosh. I thought Aubrey might be going there, you know, for a second.
She might too.
Yeah, I thought there was a second, or I think that, I mean, it'd be interested to know if you talked to her, if that was going through her head. Because I think that that's where her head went, was if I do it, wait a second, maybe we should take this away from him. But I don't know that everybody feels all that threatened by Devins right now. So
I think if you feel like you're the secondary target,
like Stephanie,
like I feel like someone like that, if Stephanie was feeling like she was feeling the heat, she needs to fight to flip it. But maybe she wasn't feeling the heat.
Maybe she should have. Maybe she should have. I mean, you know, maybe what happens if she now flips the coin, right? And what happens if she speaks up and flips the coin? She didn't go home. I mean, you know, for all intents and purposes, she went home. So, you know, I think your theory is right on, and that she probably should have been the one to say, no, I'll do it. But she probably in the back of her mind felt like she was safe. Like there was just enough doubt that she was safe that she didn't go for it.
Which is, again, the balance of Survivor is you're like, it's probably me, but if I talk about it too much, then it's definitely going to be me. So hopefully it's not me. And I'm just going to like lay lowish, but also like try and get information. Like the balance is always like such a struggle. Rick could have flipped and lost. So I feel like that's also mathematically comes into play. You're like, I have a 50-50 shot of staying here if I flip, but I also get an idol. Or I might go home after somebody wins the flip. So I think not flipping unless you are fairly certain that you're the target.
Mm-hmm.
So if Rick really felt like he was the target, which he stated, 1 in 6 with shot in the dark, 50% chance with the Mr. Beast coin. Also, had he flipped and lost this, would Mr. Beast have given him money after? Like been like, I'm sorry, that sucked. Here's money, or a Tesla. I have 1,000 Teslas to give. Here's
part
one.
Of his shtick, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Or would it have been as notably historic as they are saying it is? They said historic again this episode. They've been saying it a lot.
They've been trying, I think, to really drive that home. Yeah.
Yeah. Is this historic? Will it be remembered as historic? And would it have been remembered as historic had he have lost the flip?
I think it sure felt historic to everybody in that moment. But I also feel like everything feels heightened and the volume feels turned up when you're there. Like, that's why everybody cries all the time. Like, you're on day 2 and everybody's crying. And you're like, why the hell is everybody crying? It's like, it all feels like the volume's turned up. There's also this element of like, it's, you know, and maybe this felt more like this before the days of Mr. Beast, but it does feel like there's this, I'm on TV thing that like, plays into it, that makes it feel big because we all grew up with TV and you feel like there's just still a very base emotion around that. So it all
there's also the egos of the people who are actually selected to go on reality TV. I know anytime I'm on TV, I'm like, fucking historic. Tyson doing historic shit again. Why am I so historic?
Oh, and I'm sure Jeff at this point does not feel as if this show is historic, right? Like I feel
everything he does, he's feeling is historic.
So you know, he's been doing this for 25 years. I remember when he was on, when I was around that I remember hearing glimmers that he was ready to call it quits, like that it was going to be done. That, I think after a season or two after me, it was like he was tired. And so now to hang in there and bring it to, I went to the reunion of what would it have been?
The 10-year reunion for Heroes versus
in LA.
Villains. Yep.
Yeah. I went to that. And that felt like, oh, wow, this has been around for a long time. So he must feel at this point like, man, we're starting to get into one of the longest running shows, category. So I think that, to some extent it's warranted that there is some history to this. And I think when you're there, you feel like it's big. Will it be remembered as actually historic? I don't know. I mean, it's the first time that it's $2 million and we might not be done. It could be more by the time it's all over.
It was $2 million for Winners at War, season 40.
Okay, sorry, you got me again. This is where people start to betray that I don't watch as many seasons as other people. I do love the show, I promise.
Yeah, no, I agree. It is historic in some ways. Will it be forever remembered? Definitely to the person who wins, and also to Rick Devens. And he could be the same. He could be the winner, and also the guy it happened to. But I think it's a fun little thing, but I don't want to see a coin flip for people's lives. I think like let it rest on their gameplay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then we go back to a live tribal. And I've always kind of been like, I don't like live tribals as a viewer. They stress me out as a player, but like I understand why they happen. I understand why they're there. But I think I've pinpointed why I don't particularly love them as a viewer. Because A, you're not always seeing everything everybody's saying, but also, and I think more so, there's no commentary ever from the contestants about the live tribal as it's happening or after it's happened or during. Like, is there a way we could get confessionals intermingled with the live tribal about the live? Like a lot of stuff happens after. Like they could, after tribal council, be like, okay, everybody stay put. We're going to do confessionals over here real quick about the live tribal. Get your take on it as it's happening. I feel like something like that, if you're going to do live tribals, would be powerful for the audience to see.
I agree with you. I feel like if you did that during tribal council, I have no doubt they've talked about it. If you did that during tribal council, because tribal feels live as it feels like immediate. I feel like if you were doing confessionals, there'd be like a disjointedness to the timeline almost, where it doesn't feel natural.
Well, you do it after the votes are cast. So
maybe after
have everybody cast the votes.
Yeah.
You even have Jeff come out and say he's going to read the votes, and then no idols are played or anything. And then you say, okay, lock down. We're going to do some confessionals right now about the live tribal council.
Yeah. Yeah, that's interesting. I do think I don't like it because it ultimately amounts to you hearing as a viewer people say, is it Aubrey? Okay. James? Oh, okay. Yeah. All right. Jonathan? All right. And like, you're like, I don't understand nobody understands what's actually going to happen. It doesn't move the story along at all.
Yeah. Us as viewers who should have the point of view of a god seeing everything don't get to see this and don't get to understand. And we never get to understand what's going on in people's heads at live tribal because we never have confessionals about the live tribals after they happen.
Yeah. That's interesting.
And so I think that's the disconnect now for me, is I don't get to see that. But it makes so much sense to see Stephanie in that moment be like, so live tribal council happened. Here's what I'm hoping is going to happen. Here's what was told to me by people. Here's what I like. This is what, and worst case scenario, maybe it's me, or I feel comfortable. It's not like that would add a lot for me.
Yeah. I can see that. So, I also feel like you'd end up, it was already an hour and 25-minute episode. I think you'd end up at like a 2-hour episode every time. You know what I mean? These have been long episodes.
Well, they just cut some other stuff out. What could you cut out from this episode? There's stuff
I'm sure. Well, what's interesting, that's another thing that's changed over the years. It used to be 42 minutes. That's it. 42 minutes, enough time for commercials. That was enough. That's what, you had 18 minutes of commercials and that was the game. Yeah. And now the fact that they can play with that a little bit, as an editor and as a producer of the show, it has to be more fun because you can let some moments breathe some. And that's got to be fun to be able to tell more of the story.
Well, Or leave some fun moments in that aren't necessarily game, that don't necessarily push the narrative in any direction. They're just there. Sometimes that's fun. Sometimes it's too much. Like, it depends on the episode and the gameplay in that moment. But sometimes you're like, they were really stretching. And sometimes you're like, oh, I wish there were more. Stephanie's the only one that voted for Aubrey. She voted for Aubrey twice. Is that everyone else was just like, okay, it's Steph?
Well, this has been happening a lot this season where you think the vote's going to be, there's only been a couple times where like maybe one time where Jeff's read the name. It's been, one vote for so-and-so. And then it's 2 votes for so-and-so. And then it's 3 votes for so, and then it gets to a tie. I think it happened with Rizzo and John. Who else was it went to tie. Anyway,
I purge everything from my memory right after it happens.
Yeah. So that's happened a lot this season where you see that the vote was not as close as it appears. And that actually, as a viewer, tells you a lot about what's actually happening on the beach versus what you're seeing in the edit, because it tells you that the group, the alliances are more unified than you might think. And so that was something to me I wanted to talk about, because to see Steph vote twice and everybody else be like, it's Steph if it's not Devins, means there's somebody who's doing a very good job on the beach before we got into all the nonsense at Live Tribal about knowing what the secondary vote was going to be.
Knowing what the plan B was, which was the whole point of the Mr. Beast thing, was people have to have a plan B, and somebody had that plan B in place. Emily also whispering to people to vote Aubrey and then being like, why are you lying to me? Like,
that was my favorite. Yeah.
I loved it. When he was like, what did he say? He's like, you're so full of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was Jonathan. Was that Jonathan?
Yeah, I loved that.
That was Jonathan.
That was great.
Yeah. It's so funny. It is just like Emily just cannot.
She can't get out of her own way.
Can't get out of her own way.
She just can't. She seems so nice, but like I feel like she gets deer in the headlights and then she starts just saying stuff. It just comes out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean that's something I can identify with as well. I think I did that once or twice, but I think that it once you get to that place, you just get to a place where everybody just here's what happens, in my opinion. Historically, you want that person. Like I would want Emily. Emily might make it really far now because people start to realize that you can take her. If she's along for the ride with you and you get to a jury with somebody like her, that you're going to have, that's a great story. So I think historically, at least in my experience, the seasons I've seen, and certainly in the old school, having somebody like that around, she might make it pretty deep because it gets a little easier at the jury. I don't think she has a high chance of winning, but I think that, first, to be able to talk the way she talks means she does have some game. But I do think that it gets you into trouble when you get to jury.
Yeah. Before we get to Riley's reads, anything else stand out from the episode particularly that we want to talk about?
Is John, I wanted to ask you, I'm sure you'll know, is John Kierhofer still doing the challenges and the tribal councils? Is he still around?
Yes. John is still there. Cool. Yep.
I just love him.
One of the few that's been there since day one.
Yeah, I think he's great. I have noticed that the challenges have changed a lot in over the years. Like there's a lot more obstacle course, like get to this station. Then like the way I read it, I would love to talk to John about it, but the way I read it is they wanted more opportunities for teams to catch up, like more chances, more station chances for somebody to go from last to first. Yeah. And so the more like stationed obstacle courses you have, the more chances that takes place. Because I think it's very different. Like I haven't seen it nearly any of the challenges that we had in Palau. We had a lot of weird stuff. Not weird stuff. To us, it was awesome. Every time I was just like, this guy's an evil genius. I love him and he's such a nice guy. But I thought that I noted that you can see how the challenges have evolved over the years. And I think the Tribal Council looks great this time. It definitely, the immunity idols feel 3D printed. Like they feel, it was like Survivor Harry Potter. But I think that overall, like the Tribal Council is just like huge. It feels really cool. He's just great. I love him. I hope he listens to this and hears how much I think he's such a massive part of the show.
Yeah, we can tell him. The reason I think that the challenges are like that more and more is to give a wider range of capabilities a chance to actually win something.
So it's not brute force. Yeah.
So it's not just brute force or just strength or just being good at yoga or whatever it is. So I think that is a big part of it. Also, I don't think they like having injuries on the show. So they've avoided more physical ones, like cramming wrestling and jabbing people into corners and stuff. They don't do that anymore either. Which I appreciate. I was never a big fan of the physical like fighting and wrestling and stuff. Riley, what do we have for your segment, Riley's Reads?
Yeah, let's run through our categories to wrap things up. All right, who advanced their game the most this episode?
I mean, Rick, obviously.
Saving himself.
He's saving himself. He's got an idol. I don't think he necessarily did that much. I kind of feel like there's a couple points. Jonathan, I think, hurt his game by being lumped in with the person targeting the other side. But I do also think, like, in the end, he voted Stephanie out and was able to kind of like readjust and recalibrate. So I think that he got himself into trouble, but kind of got himself out a little bit. I would say, you think Aubrey?
Yeah, okay. She's my pick. Just like the throwdown at the OK Corral with the auction, and just showing that she's got some strength and like that she's not to be toyed with or messed with. And she's starting to, really socially play the game well. She's my pick. I think she advanced it the most this episode.
She's really turned it around from, those first few episodes in like week or so on the island. She was miserable.
She seems like she's out there. Want to be there.
Yeah, biting the head off of a grub and like dancing about it. Like, what a change. Normally it goes the other direction. People are excited in the beginning, and
I don't know her, but I have to tell you, I think those first couple of days, if you're on the outside of alliances and it's not going your way, you leave your kids and your family, and you're like, what the hell did I do? Like, why am I here? What, this was a bad idea. Like, I just want to go home. Like, this isn't that big of a deal to me, right? Like, that type of feelings can come through. And then once maybe she shows some signs of life. I made the merge. I'm here. Okay, let's
There's
game
a path
on. Like,
to the end. Yeah.
Yeah, I got a letter from my kids, and they're good. Everybody's good back home, safe. Like, okay, let's go. And I could see maybe she's just gaining strength,
Yeah, I like that pick. I think I'm going to go with Ozzy. I think he's kept his idol still, and he definitely has Suri fighting for him, and he's adjusting pretty well socially and strategically. I think he's changed his game up more than we give him credit for. Maybe that's maybe it's less. I don't know, but seems like he's sitting pretty good. And the fact that he didn't get aggressive when he realized that he was being targeted, he just kind of played it cool and adjusted accordingly.
I like that.
At first I was going to say Aubrey, because her social game is like so much better than it's ever been. She's on the right side of the vote. She hasn't been linked into any like Emily or Devon's, which is interesting because originally she was linked into that group. And also with her alliance with Tiffany, and Tiffany is like super close with Suri. So that means that Tiff and Aubrey are good until Suri says so, right? So
that could be the four, in my opinion.
They're really strong.
I think you get Aubrey, Suri, Tiff, and Ozzy, to me, feel like a very likely final four.
But I'm going to give it to Rizzo, because Rizzo seems like he would be the easy vote this entire season. Nobody knows exactly how he's played. He's definitely doesn't have like the survivor dust on him. He just seems very new and happy, bushy-tailed and everything. And every time his name gets picked up, just for a second, it gets switched over. And then he's also the advice giver to everyone. He seems like the guy who is most level-headed for some reason. And I think that is so out of character for him. But he's making it work, and he's made a strong connection with Suri and everybody. I think he's at a really good place right now. I don't know how he did it, but he did it.
Yeah, that's a good one.
I'm going to agree with you, Ian, and say Aubrey. We kind of already talked about it. So let's do who damaged their game.
Well, Stephanie.
Beyond Stephanie. Yeah, it's hard to see Stephanie winning now.
I think Emily. Emily lying to Jonathan, getting caught out doing that. Also, getting caught out targeting Ozzy. Didn't she get in trouble for that too? I think she's getting caught lying to people when she doesn't need to be lying to people.
Yeah.
I'm going to say Jonathan.
All right.
I'm going to say Jonathan because I think he was making a lot of like the moves that Aubrey had mentioned at the beginning of the episode where this is the time for everyone to make a big move and put something on your resume and like make a big splash. And I think his approach on going after Ozzy, I think this is actually like the second episode where he's mentioned Ozzy's name and it hasn't gone well both times. He should have learned the lesson from last episode to not even mention Ozzy's name at all. I think he's really busy trying to make big moves socially, and I don't think he has the social cred to do such thing. And I think he needs to kind of step back and just let everyone talk through it before putting out another name. So I think this episode he kind of made a lot of bad moves.
Yeah.
As much as I like him, I think you're right. I agree with you, and I think that he seems to be coming at people he's seemingly made alliances with in a way that it's almost like he's trying to alpha his way through, and in a way that is very destructive to him that will come back to bite him.
Riley?
I'm going to say Emily as well. I think that we, had the right agreement there that she's just blabbing to everybody. There was also this moment this episode where Devon's, they bring him in on like this idea that it could be Ozzy. And he goes back to Emily and he's like, oh, it could be Ozzy. And then they just start like giggling together and they're like, we're unhinged. We shouldn't be allowed to play. And it's like, do you two realize you're like on the bottom and people are just like feeding you their plans last? Like, I don't know. I thought that moment kind of stood out to me as a little bit of like where Emily hasn't like owned her own game and built her own connections and kind of just is going along with a lot of Devon's stuff. And I don't know. She feels
psychologically to me. That feels like a defense mechanism. Like I feel like psychologically, you're like, we're on the bottom, so we have to build rapport with one another, so we can demonstrate that we have power over this part of our game.
Yeah,
we'll have to ask Jeff if it is a psychological thing because he gave us a full breakdown about psychology in Tribal Council this episode.
That's right. Okay, let's do winner picks. Ian, do you have a winner?
Oh gosh, I should have thought about this before we chatted.
I like to spring it on people.
No, I think it's good. So my front runner pick is Suri right now. But I think a player like Suri gets called out, like gets found out, and if she's on the wrong side of it, I honestly think that somebody like Tiff could win. I think that everybody likes her. She's strong in challenges. She just won immunity. She's got a good game. She's like, I think she plays the social game really strong. I think somebody like Tiff could win it. I think she has to come on strong and make a couple moves that will get her the votes in the jury that she needs to not be kind of second fiddle. But I think she's got it in her. I think that it could be Tiff. Totally. That's my dark horse candidate.
I'm with Cerise still. I think, it's going to be hard to see how she gets to final three. But again, this episode, she protects Ozzy. She flips it all around. Neither her nor Ozzy go home. She still has her advantage. Ozzy still has his as idol. So I think that she's still in a great spot there.
I'm going to stick with Tiffany. She's been my pick for the entire season.
Oh, you're pick too? All right.
And she's awesome. She's just showing how awesome she is, man.
I think it's great. Yeah.
And I'm sticking with Suri, who's been my pick for not the whole season, but a number of weeks now.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Another good episode for her. Okay, so who's going home next week?
Emily.
That's what I think.
I think so too.
I think it's
I think Devin's going to play the idol.
I think it's going to be a vote split. I think basically the other 7 are going to do a 4-3 vote split on Emily and Devin.
It's going to start because this is that time when power starts to consolidate. Like this is the time in the game where you start to see like who's running the show. and you're starting to drop baggage that's not going to get you where you need to go. She's not gonna win you, immunity anywhere. So I think it's Emily. I think that at this point, Cirie starts to be revealed as running the game. And I think she's I think she's going to start to be in danger, and like that pre-final three danger that you can get in. But I think that, it's her and Rick. And I think that she goes home because Rick has to play.
I don't think it's going to be Emily. I think that she's a goat.
Okay.
Like, I think that she has made so many mistakes with their gameplay that people are going to want to keep her on a little longer. I feel like Devins is going to stay longer too, because he's kind of falling into that role as well, where they're just big distractions. Those are the easy votes. And I feel like with the power that Cirie has currently, she has a small connection to Emily. So she would probably point towards somebody else. And I'm going to say that somebody else might be Joe. I feel like if Joe is still really pissed that Devins is in the game, he might end up slipping up and showing some true colors of how pissed he is. And it might turn off some people. And his alliance is like dwindled. He doesn't have an alliance anymore. So
he doesn't have any left.
He might be in trouble.
Right. I think that's a great pick. And I think you're right. I think, when I said earlier that Emily might end up going far in the game, I think that's how she gets far in the game. Is Cirie starts to realize, if I keep Emily close by, I could take her through. And Joe could be dangerous in some of these individual immunities. He wins an immunity and gains an advantage, and now he's way deeper.
If we're arguing about it, I think Emily has made enemies, specific enemies. She voted for Ozzy last episode. She tried to come back to him. Ozzy's like, I thought we had something. And she's like, well, I mean, I had a day one with Rick and Devins. He's like, I thought we had a day one. Okay. Mm-hmm. So I think there's that. She lied to Jonathan at Tribal Council. Now he's like, those are people who can't afford to keep Emily in the game because they know she is against them. And so I think like you want to take a goat to the end, but you can't take a goat who is actively campaigning against you every single day.
Is that what they call it? A goat? Like, we're not talking goat in like
lowercase goat. Lowercase goat. There's uppercase goat, greatest of all time, and there's lowercase goat.
There's lowercase goat. Okay, yes. I like that as a term. That's what I was talking about before. All right, goat. I'll remember that.
Yeah. Yep. Anything else, Riley?
Not for me.
All right. Ian, thank you so much for your time and energy. Hopefully, one of these times that they invite you back on Survivor, you'll actually end up on the island. That's we'll keep our fingers crossed for you.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see.
Ashleigh, thank you for making us sound and look amazing, per usual. And Riley, have a good day.
Thank you.
Just kidding. Riley.
Have a good day. It is your birthday.
You too, Tyson.
That'll do it here at The Pod Has Spoken. We'll be back tomorrow with Exit Press. Until then, see ya.